Kentucky News, October 11th, 2013. More history of the LMPD, the police brutality. So I finished up speaking about Johann Steimle murdering Clifford Lewis on January 9th, 2001. Shot him 13 times, 4 times in the back. Started the incident, jumped him. He was in plain clothes. No warning, plain clothes, just white folks with guns, basically, just any white folks with guns can just surround anybody, and I guess if they're police, I guess it was on duty or something, but I don't see how Clifford Lewis, the 18-year-old that was murdered that day, would have known actually what had happened, and I wish there was actually more witnesses that would have came out and said what they had saw about that incident. Clifford Lewis was murdered, and it was bullshit. So that's one thing that happened. Timothy Grier, he was on video, and there's 2 officers just hitting him in the head several times, just real hard in the head. That had happened recently. 2 officers, and there's 4 officers later on. There's no, I mean, this is just, it becomes repetitive and sickening, actually, when you keep on reading about the same bullshit over and over again. Okay, so let's talk about Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill, who murdered James Taylor. So Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill are the police officers, and they killed 50-year-old James Taylor. Okay, James Taylor's 50 years old, and they came across him. This happened at 709 East Catherine Street. East Catherine Street, December 2002. So this is a year after Clifford Lewis was shot. Clifford Lewis, 18-year-old black male, shot and killed, and then you had December 2002. Next year, 709 East Catherine Street. So James Taylor, he's riddled with 12 shots, right? That's similar to Clifford Lewis, who was shot 13 times. So this is a little different because Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill shot James Taylor 12 times at point-blank range. So Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill, December 2002, go into this room. There's 5 people in this room, and one of the folks says, "I need help, I need help." And they're all doing crack, and they're drinking alcohol, and it's just one-room apartment, but there's 5 folks in this one-room apartment who've been smoking crack and drinking all this vodka, and the door was cracked, and then somebody says, "Help, help." So the police officers come in on the scene. They say, "What's going on?" Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill are there. Michael O'Neill puts James Taylor in handcuffs, and he sets him down on the side. So Michael O'Neill takes James Taylor, puts him on the chair, puts handcuffs on him, and sets him on the chair. Brian Luckett didn't have his handcuffs, and so Brian Luckett goes to get some more handcuffs. When Michael O'Neill's by himself, which was a bad, probably ideal with Brian Luckett, but Michael O'Neill's by himself. James Taylor, he was able to reach down into his pocket, and there's either he got a box cutter knife, which is just a tiny little knife, a tiny little blade, or is a 3-inch blade. So depending on which report is correct. Okay, so either a 3-inch blade or a box cutter. So those are substantially different. A box cutter knife, you could slash someone's throat. You could do something, that's how the 9/11 hijackers, they used box cutters, right? So you could do damage with box cutters. A 3-inch blade, though, that seems to be more significant. Now, so while he's handcuffed and sitting down, they're saying that James Taylor reaches down in his pocket, pulls out a knife, and he starts lunging at Michael O'Neill. And then Michael O'Neill, trapped, scared, afraid, didn't know what was going on, thought he was going to die, just shoots James Taylor 12 times at point-blank range. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Just shot him 12 fucking times. Now, I call bullshit. I call bullshit on their story again, okay? Again, the police, they lied, right? They lied in the Clifford Lewis case. They sat there, they shot him in the back. They were plain clothes. They had no warning. He had no weapons. He had nothing on him. Clifford Lewis was doing nothing at all, okay? They still said that he reached in his waistband. So that's enough reason to kill somebody just if you reach in your waistband. Like, I mean, Al Bundy, he did that all the time and didn't get shot. You know, that was his trademark signature, to reach down his waistband. Reaching down your waistband doesn't mean you're going to pull out a gun and start shooting people. That's why Clifford Lewis was shot. So now you got James Taylor. Now he actually, you know, they're saying he has a knife, right? But he's handcuffed. He's handcuffed and he's sitting down. So being handcuffed and sitting down, you have, you know, just think about it. So, you know, if this is the knife and I'm handcuffed and I got it behind, you know, behind my back, and I was able to reach down in the pocket and I grabbed it, right? I was able to grab it, and they locked me up, but there's some wiggle room, so I was able to grab a hold of it. I still have to lunge at him from the side, right? I still have to get up, right? So not only do you see me wiggling around and grabbing stuff, but I have to get up. And my hands are still behind my back. They're still behind my back, okay? So I get up, and then I have to like, attack you from the side, like, you know, come back here, right? Come back here. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. All right? That's what they're saying that James Taylor was doing. He had a 3-inch knife, right? So the blade like that long. As he gets up, right? He's down, and then he's like, hey, come here. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Now, some discrepancies. If he has to attack by the side, he shot 12 times. All 12 times was shot in the main cavity, right in the front. So if he's lunging at him from the side with this knife, he should have been shot on that side, right? If my hands are behind my back and I'm trying to come at you like this, right? I want to hit you with the knife. And since I want to hit you with the knife, my side is exposed. That's where I would get shot. That's not where he got shot. He got shot in the front. And, you know, it's bullshit. It's bullshit how they get away with this. And several of these black folks who had got killed get paid out. You know, Adrian Reynolds, he got $350,000. The family, the victim's family, his family did. And then Robert Abernathy got $600,000. And then you had Desmond Rudolph, who got $200,000. So they, you know, eventually paid these crimes which they committed. They paid them off. And, you know, why would they pay them if they didn't actually think that they were guilty? And you also had Michael Newby, who got $250,000. So there's, you know, 3 cases there, and they're all, you know, less than $1 million, because human life is less than $1 million. If you want real damage to the police department, you'd want at least $1 million case. A life isn't worth $1 million bucks. The highest was Robert Abernathy. Was $600,000, and then Adrian Reynolds was $350,000, and then Michael Newby $250,000, and then Desmond Rudolph $200,000. That's how it all distributes. That's the you know, the price of human life between all these folks that had been innocently and you know, they were slaved, they were murdered, they were executed. They're executed you know, for you know, whatever reasons. I guess each one of them has their own case. Now you have Marable Manning, who wrote the a story, or the biography of Malcolm X. Right before he died, he wrote this biography of Malcolm X. Before he had died, he wrote about May 19th in 2000. He had wrote about the killing of Desmond Rudolph. Desmond Rudolph was shot in I don't know, in the past. He was shot, you know, they says he was written this article in May 19 of 2000, and it says that less than 1 year ago, so in 99. So Desmond Rudolph was killed in 1999. And he was pointing out how you know, essentially this was a bigger case than Diallo's case. Amadou Diallo made huge headlines because he was shot, you know, 19 times. All white, plain clothes. They all shot him, and then they have New York City has a 48 gag rule, which allows the police officers to talk to each other to get their story straight, and then to talk to the prosecutor, which is insane. If you want to know the truth, you don't give them, okay, come up with your story and come back to me. You know, that's not that's not what you that's not how life works. You can't do that. You know, that makes it encourages lying, right? That basically says if you're lying and you do some bad shit, here's 48 hours for you to figure out how you can get out of it. So he says, he writes this whole article and he's talking about how the killing in Louisville was actually more significant than the Diallo case, and how Desmond Rudolph, who got shot, is confronted by two white police officers, Chris Horn and Paul Kincade, as he was reportedly stealing a sport utility vehicle. So they try to say that Desmond Rudolph tried to run him over with the car. Same bullshit that they said with Clifford Lewis. And then they said, their life was in danger when this has happened, and they had to shoot. But they shoot him. They shoot him several times. He was it was by an undercover, so plain clothes again. But the police chief eventually fires this officer. Mackenzie Mattingly is fired. So I don't actually have too much information about the Michael Newby case. 19-year-old, he tried to run, he was shot in the back. Okay, so 19 years old, tried to run, was shot in the back. Had I don't want to say too much because I don't know about the whole Michael Newby case. I want to say he had no weapons, but I'm not 100% on that. They said attempted to take the gun. So he's a plainclothes officer around Newby, and then he pulls a gun at him, and then he tries to grab his gun or something, and then gets in the car and drives off and gets shot in the back. Okay. So then this is what causes the KKK and the civil rights group to start protesting and causing all kinds of craziness here. There's even like a military coup d'etat, right, after the police chief was fired by Armstrong. There was basically a coup d'etat. So I need to check into Michael Newby a little bit better because I don't have a good grasp on what had happened there. But that happened in 1990. That was a 19-year-old, tried to run, shot in the back. So that's consistent. And it also, brings in Marable Manning. Marable Manning, he says the officers fired 22 times. Why do you guys shoot 22 times? 13 times? 12 times? 22 times? Shooting people 22 times? Like, you ain't shooting to stop a threat. He's fleeing away from you. Again, he's fleeing away. Clifford Lewis is fleeing away. And they're shooting him as they go away. Timothy Thomas in Cincinnati was running away. Police officers shoot at him. They're lazy. They don't want to catch the suspect, the suspect, so they don't want to chase him, they don't want to sweat, they don't want to have to actually go get the person, and instead of chasing them, they'd rather just shoot them. But the right of self-preservation says you have a right to get out of a situation that's going to kill you. And almost right now in America, almost every day, every other day, there's a black man getting shot by the police. So that would be a smart thing, for a black male to do. Your pride and your dignity don't want to do it, but if there's police officers in your area, don't assume they're going to help you. Assume they're going to shoot you. So that's that's Michael Newby. So let's just carry on because I think his conclusion about all this is what's 100% about this. So 10 bullets pierced Rudolph's body, 6 shots exploded in his head. So the officers fire 22 shots, Chris Horn and Paul Kincade, right? Always a partnership. Chris Horn, Paul Kincade shooting 22 times, 6 times get shot in the head. And then their own internal affairs says that they didn't do anything. The internal affairs are the absolute worst. They only there to cover up their officers' crimes. Same with the merit board. It almost seems like it's a structural institutional problem. Okay, it's structural because they're in cahoots together. The whole system they're all in the same bed. Even the media is in part of it. But it's also institutional because it's been happening since really, I guess, maybe the dawn of corporations. So Rudolph's killing, however, fit a long-time pattern, racial harassment. According to State Representative Paul Bather, represents much of Louisville's black community. There have been 60 misconduct claims filed against Louisville's police department since 1986, amounting to $3.3 million in total damages. So the office had been sued before, and folks had won. So let's see, Mayor Dave Armstrong, he fires it, and there's this big protest. Now the very end, Okay, he says, in effect, millions of middle, white, and upper class people have made the cold calculation that a certain level of unjustified killings of blacks, Latinos, and poor people is necessary to maintain public order. Yet, inevitably, this same silent majority will discover, much to its regret, that when police and security forces are given a license to kill, they will not stop at the boundaries of the black community. That's Marable Manning's warning. They are killing these folks, telling everybody it's for the public safety, and these rich white yuppies are allowing all this shit to happen because in their mind they feel safer. You know, oh, you kill some poor, black, brown person, I feel safer.